Life is interesting. All you have to do is look at it. The world is full of strange and interesting creatures who will, if you are not careful, try to eat your hat. The world is delicious and smelly. A place where you can eat an apple, a place where leaves can smell like mint. It is a place filled with flowers, and it is a great place to play games. So enjoy the world as it is while you can, before modern society turns us all into zombies. There is a new world coming, and you're not going to like it.
Hi there. Welcome to Secret Places in the Open Air. I'm your host, Ivan Taprod.
The women are coming, and you better watch out. They aren't like us. Their menstrual cycles synchronize automatically, and they can have babies. Or at least some of them can. They are coming to make all men into their slaves. They are relentless in their desire to subjugate, and they will not stop until we men do what we are told.
Then the Beatles came. Young men grew their hair long. Black people started wearing afros. Smiley faces and bumper stickers replaced thoughtful conversation. Tie-dyed clothing highlighted the psychedelic LSD experience. It was a living hell, a revolution of bell-bottoms and turtleneck sweaters. Now everybody dresses like hippies. Young men wear scruffy beards and blue jeans. Young women wear tattoos. Multiculturalism is everywhere.
Wow, and you say it was the little old ladies who did all this? I mean, little old ladies like my grandmother? She was a young woman back in the 1960s.
Yep, your grandmother is to blame, all right. You may think that the worst thing she ever does is steal condiment packages from restaurants, but you would be wrong about that. She is responsible for the ruination of America. She and her entire generation.
That's not how I think of her. I think of her as belonging to the good America, the America before the time that the hippies came.
Don't believe a word of it. Just because your grandmother has blue hair and is all wrinkled doesn't mean that she did not ruin America. It was her generation who gave us the Frisbee and the hula hoop, and introduced for all future Americans a culture of casual decadence and narcissism and indifference to basic standards of decency. For the sake of your grandmother's generation, fun and self-indulgence trumped civic duty. Psychedelic experimentation with neurological self-destruction was called consciousness raising. And women like your grandmother were in the middle of it all, dressed in mini-skirts and go-go boots.
My grandmother doesn't dress like that anymore.
Grandmothers of today are nothing like the grandmothers of the past. Little old ladies are not to be trusted these days. The first wave of hippie chicks from the 1960s are now in their 60s or 70s, and they are taking drugs again, as are their mothers.
My grandmother does not take drugs.
You just never know when an Antarctic ice shelf might break off and float out to warm waters, causing the oceans to rise and continents to shrink. Poor Amsterdam. You were such a beautiful city. So clean, so industrious, so open to the virtue of trade and the free exchange of ideas. Poor Venice. Your Grand Canal, with its graceful gondolas, may not have at times smelled so good, but you were unique. A treasury of history and art and tales of romance. Goodbye, Miami Beach. Goodbye, Manhattan Island in New York City. Goodbye, you scenic islands and peninsulas on the Mediterranean Sea.
Someday, a trumpet will sound. The clouds will open. 100 million angels will sing. Each blade of grass, each mold spore, each paramecium, each insect with its tiny wings, each elephant, each whale, each mouse in its field. They will all look heavenward, toward their Creator, and they will all know in that same instant that the celestial order has been restored, that mankind, which had been given the sacred and holy responsibility of dominion over all of the earth, is no longer in charge, and must now stand in judgment, each man and each woman alone, the dead and the living alike, to account for their individual actions, and for the actions of their people, and for the actions of their species, with their all-knowing Creator serving as prosecutor and judge.
When Christ died, it was for zombies. When the elephants became extinct, it was for zombies. When the last atomic bomb was dropped, it was for zombies. The end of capitalism was not, as Marx predicted it, the birth of communism. The end of capitalism has been shown to be the same as the end of communism, the same as the end of humanity. It is zombies. It is androids.
Our side is the side of life, love, and freedom. For the man in the gas mask, there is only sickness and death. We must learn to hate his disease, his stupidity, his cowardice. Intolerance of the intolerable is not weakness. Hate for the hateful is nothing short of love for what is good and true. To pretend, even for a moment, that he is like us, that he is worthy of anything but the deepest contempt from us, would be to give in to weakness, to make us as contemptible as he. If we cannot stand on the truth, if we cannot stand against the man in the gas mask, then we stand on nothing, and his disease is our disease.
Another world is not only possible, she is on her way. On a quiet day, I can hear her breathing.
Anybody can be a totalitarian dictator these days. You just need a strong internet presence and a willingness to stomp on little guys. And you're also going to need cameras. Lots and lots of cameras, strategically placed everywhere, so that you don't miss a thing. And then you're going to need goons, guys who can get things done. I like to use black guys myself. Bald white guys work well too. Bald guys who are tough and not afraid to rough people up. But stay away from women. Women make lousy goons. The CIA and KGB like to use white guys for their goons. But my goons are going to be so bad that people are going to wish for the environmental apocalypse.
But don't worry about the environmental apocalypse. The human-induced trauma to Earth's ecosystems will stimulate house cats to quickly evolve into hyper-intelligent beings. And those super-intelligent cats will make the world into a better place, proving once and for all that cats are the most sensible of all Earth's creatures. When cats become as intelligent as humans, they will graduate from college with advanced degrees and live luxuriously, dining on red caviar, eating expensive steaks, and feeding their kittens freshly caught fish. They will devise ingenious, non-destructive mousetraps, and for human intruders, they will devise people traps. Cat directors will make horror films. Cat engineers will invent bathing devices with gigantic tongues. Cat murals will decorate the urban landscape, significantly raising the consciousness of all sentient beings. Even middle-class cats will have dogs as pets, so that they can have something warm and comfortable to sleep on. Upper-class cats will be able to afford monkeys as pets, and most cats will own sofas with pleasantly textured arms. Homeless cats will sleep in boxes, but they will dream of someday owning a bed with sheets, or of having a dog as a pet to sleep with. As for kittens of the future, they will still be naughty. They will still fearlessly climb trees. They will love their mothers, and they will lick themselves clean.
Civilization is like a beautiful woman putting lipstick on a pig. We humans are the pig. Civilization is the beautiful woman who puts the lipstick on us. Civilization loves us. Civilization nurtures us. But deep inside, we are all still pigs. That is, all of us except we bloody clowns.
You got that right, Chuck. If everybody was a bloody clown, we wouldn't even need to have this discussion. There wouldn't be any problems with humanity, and there wouldn't be any problems with civilization.
The secret knowledge of children. By nature, children are lovers of nature. They love the smells of the world. They are tribal and family-oriented, but also understand the value of friendship and are always looking for new friends. They understand the experience of wonder. They understand the value of play. They know what it is to love and to be loved. They know the mystery and importance of other beings. This is why Jesus said that we must become like little children. It is also why Socrates asserted that learning is like remembering. We were born of this earth with a knowledge, a secret knowledge, that we sometimes later forget. Someday the secret knowledge of children will be completely forgotten. We will live in a land where government agents take children from their parents. The greatest of our leaders will be liars. The sky will darken. The forests will turn black. The propaganda machine will convince us of our own perfection, and we will hate everything that is other. The end of our planet will be a burning and a great slaughter of humans and entire other species. The
powers that be will try to buy us off, and we will forget the secret knowledge with which we were born.
My grandmother does not take drugs.
Don't be fooled by their outward appearance. These women saw Cassius Clay turn into Muhammad Ali. They watched the live broadcast of the first man walking on the moon. These women have seen their traditional role as housewife shift to the modern-day role of women as wage earner and home manager and spiritual leader and everything else a human being might possibly be. No person should ever have to put up with all the role-shifting political jockeying and mind-blowing marketing manipulations that these women have been subjected to. Don't kid yourself. Old women are not to be trusted.
I trust my grandmother. She's a tough old lady.
Of course she's a tough old lady. When she was a young woman in the year 1968, Valerie Solanas shot Andy Warhol. James Earl Ray shot Martin Luther King. Sirhan Sirhan shot Robert F. Kennedy. These women grew up at a time when people did not wear bicycle helmets, when cars were not yet equipped with seat belts and airbags. Lead-based paint and asbestos were everywhere. Young women in the 1960s had to be tough. They were exposed to political movements such as environmentalism, the women's rights movement, the civil rights movement, and the anti-Vietnam War protests. Now that they've made it through all that, they feel empowered. They're tough, and they still feel like they can get their way. When they were younger, they were hung up on bad boys like Ray Charles, or like Elvis, or worse of the worse, Mick Jagger and the Rolling Stones. This was the first generation of women to throw panties at Tom Jones.
Now you're talking. That sounds like my grandma.
Little old ladies like your grandmother were the front wave of a generation that is popularly called the baby boom generation. Professional demographers see this generation as something akin to a rat that has been swallowed by a snake. Like a rat migrating down the digestive system of a python, the baby boom generation slowly moves down the intestinal tract of U.S. history until it will finally be excreted by the great anus of time.
You're right. That is exactly what demographers say about the baby boom generation. What's going to happen when they're gone?
When the last of the old ladies who were once hippies are finally gone, and the baby boom generation is no more, American civilization will return to the 1950s, when men were men and women were women. Core American values will rule the day. American corporations will rule the world. Everybody will know their place, and nobody will question the difference between right and wrong.
I hope we won't have to go back to using phones with cords and rotary dials.
No, you'll be able to keep your cell phone.
With new pharmaceuticals for banishing beer bellies, beer babies will become more common. Pharmaceutical companies will market the new product as Beer Belly Begone, and the exciting chemical innovation will usher in a new era of svelte, sexy beer drinkers who will look young in middle age because they stay slender by drinking beer. Slurred speech, stumbling around, and other side effects related to poor motor control caused by drinking too much beer
will also be cured by science. Computer chips will be implanted in our brains, and drunk driving will be encouraged, since the brains of beer drinkers are malleable and more easily influenced by the subliminal suggestions that the computer chips will constantly whisper into the speech processing centers of the human brain. The computer chips will whisper things like,
"Love your God. Love your country. Obey the laws. Buy XXX brand beer."
Temptations and promises were all around them. Food for the belly, wine for the soul. Old men still played great music, wondrous sounds that would not die. The young were fit. The middle-aged tried to stay that way. It was a world of pineapples and a world of lobsters. Sun shone on the jungle. Birds flew through the trees. Some say that these were the best of times, the blossoming of civilization, the garden from which mankind was eventually expelled. Nature was still robust. Nightfall was still golden. Winter was still white. Somehow it all stayed together. The passenger planes flying, the people working together on machines they did not understand. Communications were global. Everybody talked to everybody, except sometimes when they were in the very same room.
He told me about this dungeon place, with all of these strange people and these strange things going on. I couldn't believe the things he was telling me. It kind of made me feel like I was half dead and falling apart, and like there were bugs crawling over me. Some of what he told me sounded good, but most of it was hideous and disturbing. To be frank with you, it scared the crap out of me. I don't think that I could have handled it. I like to stay above ground. I think that love should make people well. Blue roses need not be artificial, and sleep should not be disturbing. I cannot even begin to tell you how far I think it is possible for the human race to deviate from the course of nature. What will become of us when the animals are all gone? What will replace the flowers? What will replace the sun? I am afraid of cellophane, and to me the darkness is like plastic. I do not think that we will ever find within our own minds and imaginations anything to replace a lost world that can only be lived.
Yeah, I'm an insurance guy, a pencil pusher, basically. But I'm also a salesman, a corporate American hero, making a difference in the bottom line. Insurance is like a helmet. It's like a parachute or an umbrella. But even insurance can't protect us against the environmental apocalypse. Someday we will be exposed to too much nuclear contamination. And then we will all turn into mutants. We came from apes, but we're going to turn into mutants. No, not rabbits. Mutants.
Before that happens, Xanadu is going to step in and take over.
Exactly. No environmental apocalypse with me around. We're going to be able to fish, and we're going to be able to hunt. When the first environmental catastrophe strikes, and it looks like the end is near, I will sweep in with the solution, the key to our future. I'll be like Hitler was in Germany, like Lenin in Russia. I'll promise a better world, a more ecological world. People are afraid. They're afraid of terrorists. They're afraid of weapons of mass destruction. They're afraid of a monetary meltdown. They're afraid of environmental collapse. I'm going to make things better. I'm going to give them hope. That's how you control the minds of the masses. You prey upon their vulnerabilities and you offer them hope. You give them your vision of a better world with lots of green grass, 4-leaf clovers, and pretty flowers, and plump, sexy maidens.
Congress is calling the president a liar. The president is calling the media liars. The right is screaming that America is falling apart. The left is deeply concerned for cross-dressers and bumblebees.
Hurricanes are hitting Florida. Earthquakes are rocking California. Texas is hot.
Girls reach puberty in the 5th grade.
It's the same old story, the same old crises. Terrorists are attacking. The rhinoceros is just about extinct. The polar bear will swim no more.
I'll tell you what, Ivan. If the zombie apocalypse ever comes, my family is doomed. Doomed. My little boys love zombies, and I can't talk any sense to them. They're going to be the first to go. They're going to turn into zombies before anybody else.
The zombies assert that they are the future, the final apocalypse, the hope beyond the grave. They are marching in Ottawa, Canada. They are marching in Pasadena, California. They are marching in London, England. They are poisoned and degenerate, bloody and worm-eaten, marching to the music, unified in their common purpose, displaying to the world a shared vision and a willingness to sacrifice individuality to achieve a common aim.